Hi there, guys, and welcome to another Successfully Social. I'm actually rubbing my hands, whether it's with glee or delight or anticipation or a combination of all of those remains to be seen. But I'm absolutely thrilled today to be joined by the amazing Dave Moore. And we're going to say more about Dave in a moment, but a quick hi from Dave.
Yep. Hi, Sean. Dave. Hi, Sandra. Hi, everybody. I'm going to rub my hands together because we've got snow down here. That's what.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the snow in a minute. Yeah, so hi there, Dave, and my inimitable co-host Sandra Watson. And Sandra, a few words from yourself, Sandra.
Hi, and I'm delighted to be here. I'm so excited to hear what Dave has to say.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm trying to press. I'm pressing the. I don't know if I'm not near anything, but I'm pressing the effects to no avail, and suddenly there were.
That's a good one.
That one, but the platform doesn't appear to be. So as I say, welcome to Successfully Social. Sandra's laughing because Sandra had a few little mishaps, I think it's fair to say, just as we were about to come on. Including an exploding light bulb and various other disasters, and now my effects aren't working. But Dave, we're delighted to have you here. And I'll say a few little things about Dave before Dave does a proper introduction about himself. But Dave runs a number of amazing communities and sites, and is an international speaker and trainer. And you might know Dave from HPT Transformation and also from the Mahon Consortium, and we'll invite Dave to share a little bit more about that in a moment. And Dave, one of the quotes I really like about yours, and you don't know I'm going to say this, but when I read your About You description on Google+, what I really loved was you're the first, last, and only source of human potential technology. So that is absolutely amazing. I think that does a round of applause and some drums. There we go. But Dave, can you? A lot of people will have joined us today because they know you're ready. But would you like to just share with us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I'll be pleased. I'll be really quick. I've been in business for about 25 years now doing this, and what we focus on at the moment, like this time, we focus on people as individuals, the uniqueness of people. And having spent many years as a corporate trainer, a sales trainer around the world with different companies, I got more and more involved in the uniqueness of people, the individuals that make up the companies. So now we deal with people's fears, phobias, addictions. They're stunted, they're stuck in their life. And we release them, or we free them. It's really a psychological process over a period of 3 days. The HPT Transformation Program will delve deep into the inner workings of their mind and introduce them to the person that they were destined to be. We break down the masks, we break down the layers, we break down the barriers, and find the real them, real you. And that real you is something that we help you redesign.
Yeah, do you know, it's really interesting, and we were having a really intriguing conversation in the green room, because at one level that sounds a quite sensible proposition, and I'm not using the right words here. I'm trying to find the right words, but it's surely not an easy thing to do, Dave, because I know that people can often think they know themselves, but there's any amount of behaviours and filters that may be preventing them from living a life of their full potential. Is that a fair comment, Dave, or have I got it wrong?
It is. No, it's very true, because with corporate sales training, you can take all of the techniques that people need and instruct them as to how they can implement them into their sales presentations and increase the amount of money they earn, and hit targets, and that's fine. They can take that on board, no problem whatsoever. But when you're dealing with people who have been alive all of their life and they're not living all of their life, there is a juxtaposition between those two. You can live all your life and you can be alive all of your life. Some people are just alive all of their life, but they're not living. And so when you are confronted with people who have come to find an answer to something, the question of which they have absolutely no idea. They know something is not working. They know something isn't right. They know they're not getting the results in their personal and business relationships. They know they're not getting the results in the way they think. They know they're not getting the results in what they do. They don't feel as if they are their full potential. And what's happened to people over the years is that they've fallen into a comfortable state of mind where everything is comfortable, everything is easy, but they're not getting the results that they would due. And they feel left out, they feel let down. And so what we do is we look at groups of people and we do redactional training, which means that somebody, 10 out of 150 people will get it immediately. Another 20 may take another hour. Another 40 may take another half an hour or another day before they get it, because we keep repeating in loops in different ways because everybody is unique. And some people just will not get it the way other people will. So you have to repeat it and do it in a different way. It's a bit like having a prescription in your glasses. I mean, I'm short-sighted. If I go and have my eyes tested, and the guy says to me, "You're short-sighted," and I go, "Right, okay, I want to do it," and he takes his glasses off and gives them to me. I put them on, I can't see a thing. Well, he said, "Well, I'm short-sighted, you're short-sighted, so that must work." And unfortunately, with a lot of training programs, it's a one-size-fits-all, but this isn't the way that we do it. We look at people as unique human beings, and everybody has got their own fears, they've got their own fantasies, they've got their own beliefs, and they've got their own way of doing things, and it's ingrained in people. And it is very difficult sometimes to get people out of that mindset that I've always done it like this.
Right.
So I've always lived like this. Well, the truth is, if you keep doing the same thing, your results will never improve. And if you keep being the same person, you will never be the person you were destined to be. Right. So we break them down and then we rebuild them, and that help them rebuild themselves.
Yeah, do you know, Dave, there's so many great things that have come out of that. I particularly like what you just said at the end. We break them down and help them rebuild themselves, because I know when I've been to big events, and I'm going to come to one of yours so I can see how the master does it. You know,
I know who that is.
Was that suitably crass there, Dave?
Yeah, I was just trying to figure out who I'm going to invite. Like, I've got to find a master somewhere. You know, we learn so much. Yeah. We learn so much from the groups that we train. That's
and also, if I'm honest, and I'm very open-minded, but I found that I've gone to events where, I mean, one of the things that you were saying is that at your bigger events, your big speaker events that may go over the course of a weekend, you redo some of the exercises, and that happened at an event I went to. But one of the things for me that was so beautiful about that was there were things that I didn't realize in the first couple of hours. It wasn't that I'm broken, it wasn't that I needed fixing, but there were deeper implications to my behaviors than I'd perhaps at first considered. And it was only when we were in the right environment and I had time to reflect on it. And that took, for me personally, it may have been different for other people. As you say, some people get it straight away. I didn't. But it was only when I'd had the time to start thinking, and that took about half a day, that it really began to bed in. Now, I know we're going to be talking about fears as well, Dave, and we need to keep it quite tight on the fear side of things. So, and I also realised that I hadn't invited Sandra to ask anything. So, Sandra, before we get into the fear side of things, have you got any thoughts in terms of what we've discussed so far?
No, I think I'm afraid to say anything. No,
You're never afraid, Sandra. You're never afraid.
I can't believe that.
No, I was wondering, you know, when you were talking about your type of programs that you hold and everything, is there a type of person that would not be the right person to even take your course or to even be listening to what we're talking to today? Is there someone that is not okay, let's just say the target market for what we're talking about in transforming your life?
I don't think so. I mean, I would like to. I'd like to believe. I'd like to think that there are people who don't need it, but we all need another charge. We all need another viewpoint. We all need another angle. I got my PhD in psychology, and I know people who are psychologists who have, and this is not detrimental to that industry, but they've got certificates on their wall, but they can't do it. It's because once you've got the certificate, you think, well, I know it. Well, you don't. And the moment that you stop learning is the moment that you've given up. And so I learn so much from everybody that I train, and to the point where the program that we're going to do in Los Angeles in June is so much different to the one we did in Zurich, to the one we did in Seattle, because it's guided by what works. And I don't claim to have all the answers. I just know what works because it's worked for me. And if it can work for me, it can work for anybody. Although we are all unique, we have a basic common thread that we have the same fears, the same ideas, we have the same concerns about things. You know, any trainer who says, I don't have any fear, I have no problem, you do have fear. And fear is something that is a liberator, not something that you should. Do you notice a nice segue into fear there?
I noticed.
Yeah, it's a liberator because it impels us to take action sometimes. And without action, I mean, I know a lot of people who work in the law of attraction field. Now, 60% of the word attraction is action. If you take no action whatsoever, you're not going to get anything just magically given to you. You've got to put yourself in the right frame of mind, the right mindset, the right position, or right state of mind to make something happen in your life. Fear can be a double-edged sword, and it's not meant to be something that stops you from doing something. It's a great liberator. It makes you achieve something. We always look at fear as being people running away from something that's scary, whereas in fact it could be the fear of not achieving something, and that gives us the impetus to step out of the shadows and take some action and achieve something. It's not so much the fear of rejection. It's not so much the fear of looking stupid. We all have those innate fears in our minds. The fear of rejection, two people meet in a bar and the guy doesn't want to talk to the girl in case she turns him down. So he fears speaking to her. But what is really the worst thing that can happen to you if you do something and it doesn't work? You get over it. It's not going to kill you. It's something you learn. You don't necessarily stop doing something because of fear. You do something because of a fear of not doing it. And so as soon as you look at fear as being, you see fear for what it really is. So many people say no fear in my life whatsoever. And we say no fear, K-N-O-W, no fear for what it is, and it can help you.
Okay, can I ask you, then I just want to ask one other thing. We were talking about the word procrastination before we started the show because that was one of the things that Sean put on there. And you're saying, you said earlier that procrastination was really a fear of something. Which comes first, fear or procrastination? Excuse, in my opinion, can also turn into a fear, but is something always a fear first, or does it progress into being a fear, and then can it become a psychotic fear if you don't address it?
I think, personally, in my opinion, when we've dealt with this with groups of people, fear and procrastination tend to dance. There is no one that leads. There isn't one that leads the other. It depends entirely upon the circumstance. It depends entirely upon what the person's dealing with. But both procrastination and fear, procrastinators are people who cannot take now for an answer. They will, why put off until tomorrow if you can put it off until the day after or next week? And you tend to put things to one side because you don't want to deal with them or you can't deal with them. or it isn't right for you to deal with them at the moment. Majority of the time, it would be something like getting a parking ticket. And if we can get to the end result straight away, if we understand the processes that we go through, you get a parking ticket comes through the post. I apologise to everybody in America because I'm going to do it in pounds. You get a parking ticket and it says £40 you've got to pay by the 15th of the month. So you put it in a drawer and you carry on doing whatever it is that you're doing on a daily basis. And then you look at the parking ticket and you think, oh, I haven't paid it. And I should pay it by tomorrow. What is it? It goes to £60 tomorrow. Well, it's only £20 more than £40. I'll leave it. Next thing you know, you've got a £450 bill. Your car is going to be towed away, and you've got 4 guys knocking on the door who want their money now. Now, that state of mind that you get in right at that moment, I've got to pay this now. Why don't you have that at the very beginning and eliminate it? But unfortunately, a lot of people will put off and put off because they fear doing something. They fear talking to somebody. They fear the conversation they're going to have, so they procrastinate about it. They put it off. But fear is a belief. It's not actual. It's not actuality. It's a perception of reality, not the actuality of the reality.
Dave, I'd love to, at the risk of interrupting you here, and the reason, and forgive me for that, but I kind of want to broaden the conversation because I'm conscious of the fact I put fear and procrastination in there, but of course procrastination is just one of many, many elements that you'll have dealt with in your career. I'm kind of really, I want to flip over Sandra's question because Sandra asked a really good question earlier, which was what sort of people might things not work for in terms of these techniques. But I'm really curious about what sort of people come to your big seminars and what sort of problems that you currently identify. So we've spoken about some of them, but I bet there's a lot more to how fear manifests than we've touched on already. And the reason I ask that is there'll be a number of people in the audience who are beginning to resonate with what you're saying. And I kind of want to get your wisdom so we can share some practical tips that people can take away with them.
Well, we want to talk about fear. You want to talk about fear and you want to talk about procrastination. If we open it up, it will get very broad because everybody that comes to the seminar have got fears. They're dealing with limiting beliefs. They have a belief about themselves, and they believe that they're not worthy of doing something. And it's they're stuck. And things have happened to them in their lives that, they've been like a particular way since an event in their life.
Right.
Now, people can take that event on board and it will alter the direction of their life away from their original point that they wanted to aim at.
Okay.
The issue that people have is that they don't get stuck in what happened to them. They get stuck in the significance of the event, how it impacted everything in their life, and it becomes bigger. Fear is another thing. It becomes bigger than it really is. When you say, I'm scared of the dark, you're not. You're scared of what's in it. I'm afraid to let go of something. It's not that. It's you're afraid to accept that the relationship is over. It's I'm afraid to try again. You're afraid of getting hurt. And when you break some of these fears down, you're not afraid of heights. You're afraid of falling, because babies are born with 2 fears.
Right.
They're born with only 2 fears. They're born with a fear of loud noise and a fear of falling. Everything else is acquired. And it is our internal dialogue and our movie in our mind that we replay and replay and replay all the time, and then it changes and it gets bigger and bigger. And unfortunately, it impacts people's lives so much that they get stuck. And they get stuck in this mindset that has got their belief system telling them that they can't do things. It's got their belief system telling them, well, there's no point in doing this because in the past this happened. And so many people carry their past around with them. And unfortunately, if you're going to take your past into the future with you, you're cluttering up the future, because if you've got two filing cabinets, you've got all of your past in one filing cabinet and your future is empty. So that's great. You can fill that future filing cabinet with all the things you want to do. But if you keep putting the past in it, there's going to be no room. And so people live in the past. They live in the things that have happened to them. And unless you can identify this and get people to understand that they don't need to live in the past, reference it, but if you've got any sense, you change the locks. You can't go back and live in the past. You can reference it, you never forget, but you don't have to live it.
Yeah, and that's brilliant. And do you know, guys, first, a lot of welcomes as well. I've been a bit remiss because I had some problems with the comment tracker. So a couple of quick shout-outs, Dave, while you have your drink, which is going to give you a bit of a breather. Great to see a number of people here. Sherry, great to see you. Tony, Tanya, Cynthia, of course, great to see you. Sorry for the delayed shout-outs, guys, but as I say, the comment tracker is just coming on. Cheryl as well. A lot of support for what you're saying, Dave, and I'm just going to pick a couple of comments so we can get some sense of what's happening in the stream. Hi, Tony, good to see you. Sherry makes a point, which I'm just going to put up here. Now, what do you think of this, Dave? Sherry asks, a great question, or Sherry states, great question to ask when you procrastinate. What am I fearing? And when you ask that question, the answer may surprise you and spur you into action now. You sound like you agree with that, Dave. What's your thinking there?
Well, it's right. I mean, what Sherry, and hello, Sherry, because I love Sherry because she does the tapping show during the week, which is a great thing to go to. The thing about that is you identify the fact that you question it. What am I procrastinating about? That's like looking at what is this fear about. As soon as you start to question it, you see it for what it really is. And you can be surprised by the conversation that you have. The issue that a lot of people have is their internal dialogue is their own voice. And we never lie to ourselves, do we? So we believe that. We tell ourselves all sorts of things, and if we are saying to ourselves, look, the reason that I don't want to procrastinate, I don't want to see this, I'm procrastinating about it, is because we do that with fear as well. I can't do that. Why? Because, and then the answers come out. But in the seminars, we don't answer those sort of things because I think it's unique to people, and the majority of the time we just go, right, okay, I understand that, next. Somebody else will, and they come up with some amazing reasons for not doing things, and they really believe them. So not only have they got the belief of fear, they got a belief in their reason for the fear. And as we said, the reductional training is like a jigsaw puzzle. Some people have got a life with a missing piece of a jigsaw puzzle, which is them, and it will not fit into that jigsaw puzzle. Right. Some people, in the first hour, when we're talking about a general transformation program itself or how it's going to pan out, they start to pick it up and they can place that jigsaw piece in there immediately. Somebody else won't. But what they do is they've got this piece of the jigsaw, and suddenly, towards the end of it, the whole jigsaw is thrown on the floor and it all fits together around that one piece. Right. Because they have got, they get the understanding or they don't. They get it, that's fine. If they don't get it, they've had all the reasons why they should get it, and when they do get it, they all fall into place. And then it's this dawn of realization that I can have, be, and do anything I want. I am no longer the person that I was when I came here. I've moved.
So what you're saying then, Dave, is that for some people, there's a bit more of a conscious process in terms of how they interpret things when they arrive at one of your seminars. But for other people, it sort of subconsciously filters in, and then suddenly all the pieces, because you've created an environment for them, all the pieces almost fall to the ground, and there's this realization, thank God, for 30 years I've kind of had these inhibitions in my life, but now I'm moving forward. Dave, just for a moment before I ask you to expand on that, our very good friend Cynthia's in the audience, and there's a couple of comments. First one, Cynthia shares a quote, and then I'll pull up another one of her comments. The quote is Jack Canfield's, "Everything you want is on the other side of fear," which is one of my favourite quotes too.
Yeah.
But this one, Dave, I think is really interesting. Sandra picked this one up, so thanks, Sandra, for flagging it up. Dave, do you feel that all fears can be overcome? So say someone has got extreme anxiety or fear of something else. Can anyone get over fear of something in their mind, in your opinion? And that's obviously from Cynthia.
Yeah. Well, first, hello, Cynthia. I'm a big fan of Cynthia, the smart chick. You know, and she did an amazing show with you a little while ago. That was a real stormer. She sets a benchmark really high. Cynthia's one of those people who is the benchmark others are held referenced against. The thing with fears is we will not eliminate somebody's fear, but they will be able to use it and understand it and see it for what it is. Sometimes the fear is insurmountable, but they will be able to deal with it. Once they understand what the fear is and why they have the fear, it's been created by them. Something happens to people. They have a viewpoint, and they've constructed their reaction to fear, a particular fear. And it would serve them at some point in their past. When something happened to them, they had to come from a particular point of view to deal with what they were presented with. And this fear is something that they've designed themselves. Now, there are fears that are quite rational. You know, I wouldn't get into the sea with a shark. So that's, you know, a good fear to have. You know, but a fear of public speaking, a fear of meeting new people, there are techniques that you can use that you can eliminate that to a certain degree. It will always be there because you're conscious of it. But the thing with fears is that once you understand what they are, they're there to serve you. I know a lot of people who go out on stage in bands, you know, and they've got their stage fright every night. Now, they might have been doing it for 30 years. Why have they still got stage fright? And I remember seeing a interview with Bruce Springsteen, who said, "My chest pumps, you know, and I start to shake." And I thought, well, he's describing a heart attack. Yeah. You see, but to him it was adrenaline. I would want to get out on stage. So how we reference it is the thing. It's impossible to overcome every single fear, but it is possible, and you know, it's not easy, but it's obtainable to be able to see the fear for what it is and to control it. Otherwise, you look at the alternative that you've got. You know, you've got to do something about it.
Yeah, I love that. I'm going to invite Sandra in for a second. The thing I pulled from that though, Dave, is that sometimes it's not the fear in and of itself; it's how you interpret it. So in Bruce Springsteen's case, actually, other people may have described it as a heart attack or fear, but in his case, I bet if he hadn't felt that blood pumping energy surge, his performance wouldn't have been as good. So he's reframed it in his head, and it's no longer a fear. So I find that fascinating. But Sandra, I think you've probably got one of your killer questions here by the look of it. So Sandra, what are you thinking?
I was thinking while you were talking about that, and after Cynthia's question, and certainly Cheryl Deuce, what she said about having a fear, she knows where it came from, but it doesn't change. There are people who have experiences in their life, like, for instance, let's talk about somebody who's been physically abused, whether it be male, female, how it happened, or whatever, and that's gone on. But then later, right after that, at some point, maybe months, a year, whatever, they all of a sudden have this fear of something that they've done all their life, never had that problem before, but it actually didn't start until after this occurrence that was a very fearful occurrence happened. And in my opinion, then that probably is a transference to deal with the very emotional, traumatic thing that happened, and now this fear came along. They don't know how to deal with that because they don't know where it came from. It's something they've done all their life, and now all of a sudden they can't do it. Like people all of a sudden can't leave their home and they don't know why, and it probably came from something else. How do you explain that? I mean, at some point you say some things you can't get over, some fears are always there. What would you say to someone like these types of fears? Not like that's the only one, but how would you address that to someone?
Well, the way that we would address it is not to deal with that. Is just to give that person the ability to be able to deal with it themselves by understanding and acknowledging the fact that this has now transferred from this and has made this area of your life, a no-go area. What you did before, you cannot do now, and it's because you're transferring the event that happened to you. As I said earlier, people don't get stuck in what happened to them, they get stuck in the significance of it. So the mind says, this is a big thing, but the unconscious mind can say, well, it's not really, because you should be able to deal with it. We only ever deal with things like this to the extent that we give people the understanding and the ability to be able to recognize that this is going on with them. And if they then go to a psychologist, a hypnotherapist, we don't deal with that. All we're giving people is empowerment, is understanding that you're in control. If there's anything happening to you in your mind, in your heart, in your body, in your life, you have the ability to change it. You have the ability to change the way you think. You have the ability to change the way you feel. And it all comes from something called responsibility. And the way that we deal with responsibility is, responsibility, we define it as two words: response and ability. It's responsibility, your ability to respond to something. So when you feel that this transference has taken place, I used to be able to go and walk in the rain, but I can't now. I'm a fear of rain. I can't walk out there, in rain. I don't like the rain. Well, you never had a problem with it before. Once you understand that you've taken this, you transferred it from one thing to another, you're looking to try to make it useful, and you're also looking to, making it an event that is significant. And you have to understand the insignificance of it in the area that you've positioned it. That's not what we deal with. We deal with people to the extent that you have the understanding that you can pinpoint these things. You need the specialist help with this, because before, people would think, well, that's just the way life is. So many people think, I'm going to live today as if it was the first day of my life. I have the first day of my life, and I can get... Well, we teach people to live as if it's the last day of your life. Get everything done. Do the things that you want to do. Achieve the things you want to do now, because you've got the ability to do it. Don't wait. Don't procrastinate. If there's something wrong, and you feel that there's something wrong, we've shown you how you can identify it, so deal with it. And that means taking action on it now. And what Cynthia was talking about is the quote. I like the quote where the answer you seek, or the success that you seek, is in the cave that you fear to enter.
Yeah, love it.
It's going that route, going down that route of like, well, I've never been able to go there. After the seminar, people have got this feeling of empowerment that they can achieve and do anything. They could go out and invade a small country if they wanted. So what inside your own body, in the privacy of your own head, you should be able to realize and should be able to restructure everything in your mind, that you could go and seek help, because you can pinpoint exactly what it is you've done, because you do it. You have to take responsibility for it.
So to be really clear then, Dave, what you're saying is, if I was to come to your seminar, it's not that I would expect to have a magic bullet that would cure me of the fear miraculously. What will happen is I'll have been empowered, and I'll recognize where it's come from and feel good because I now have a recognition of that, and it then allows me to make different and better choices. Is that kind of what you're saying, Dave?
Yeah, I mean, we can give you the magic bullet, but you want to get a chance to use it. I mean, I've had salespeople say, is there one close that I can use, that I can say, that everybody would buy from me? That's just like saying to me, is there one magic punch that I could use to knock out Mike Tyson? Yeah, there is. But by the time you got to land it, you'd already be in the accident and emergency because it would have bounced you around the ring. You need to have the all-encompassing understanding, the feeling, the belief system that you are in total control. And it's not only the fact that you're in total control. When you can stand in front of your mirror and look in the mirror and say to yourself, everything in my life is my fault. The good stuff, the bad stuff, it is all made up of the choices I've made, the responses I've given, and the things that I've done. I take responsibility for everything in my life. From that moment on, you are liberated. And I have a group of people, and I say, like, put your hands up if you are 100% happy with your life right now. And it's like, oh, so I'm talking about your money, your relationships, your sex life, your business, your home life, your relationship with your kids, the relationship with your spouse, everything. If you are happy with that, in all those areas, put your hand up. No one puts their hand up.
Right.
And I know, and I tell them that they're all lying to me. Every single one of them is lying to me. They are happy. If they're not happy, they would have changed it. Their life is as it is right now because it's comfortable.
So what? Sorry, Dave. I'm just so fascinated with that because no, that's a really powerful thing because we can work in an office, can't we? We can hear someone say it's the government's fault. I'd be super successful if the tax regime wasn't as it is. You know what? When I was 20, I was a real contender, but you know, I'm not now. And it's often what you're saying, Dave. Then is it's because often we'll externalize things and blame other people. And what you're doing is putting people back at the root. Now I know that Sandra is itching to ask a question, and I'm also really because she's sending me the vibes through the screen, guys. But,
I'm getting
oh, it's happening. My head's exploding. My God. It's our telepathic communication, everybody. But yeah, we're all rocking now. But I also know that we want to give people one or two. We're not going to give the barn away, Dave, but one or two of your tools and techniques maybe, or some ideas that people can apply. Now, Sandra, though, I feel that throbbing in my temple now that suggests to me you've got the killer question again. So, and you've got this is going to be corking. So I've set you up now for an amazing question, and you're shaking your head and saying,
There's no guarantee. There's no guarantee you're going to get an amazing answer.
Well, actually, I guess
I might leave it there.
I'm loving it.
My question is not even a question. When you were talking, I was thinking that's brilliant, the way that you posed that. I just hope that people understand that what you are saying then in this transformation is that it's not that you're going to give the answer or anything. It's that you're giving them the ability to say, hey, I know what's going on, but now I feel compelled and okay, and it's all right for me to go forward and fix it because it's going to turn out okay. I will know where to go or who, because I can deal with it now. In other words, if I have to go find some help by another professional, it's going to be okay because now I know that that's what I need. I need to make that choice. So you have now given them the power to make the right choices, where before they decimated. They couldn't do it. They didn't know that it was okay. It's like the person, you know, I was watching a program the other day where this woman was so belittled. She couldn't do anything, that she had the fear, and she let somebody just totally almost kill her because she didn't have the ability to say stop and leave. And what you're doing is giving someone the ability to say, no, you can't do this to me. I can't do this to myself anymore. I'm going to take control. I have that right, and I'm going to fix it.
That's absolutely right.
Oh, good.
Next question. No, the thing with it is that people fear change, and unfortunately, life doesn't get better by chance; it gets better by change. And unless you're willing to change, because you don't like the results you've got so far, a lot of people will continue in a hope that they get better results. It's like having a fruit tree, and you look at the fruit on the tree, and you think this fruit isn't really getting good. You know so you polish the fruit. What you need to do is look at the roots, and the roots create the fruit. What's invisible creates the visible, and what is invisible in this life is far more important, far more powerful than what's visible. What's going on inside people's heads? You know, if you said to everybody in the world, say exactly what is on your mind right now, most people will be speechless. Wow. Because there is nothing going on in the mind. They're on autopilot. Now, I know because I used to drive to work and get to work and have no recollection of the journey in the car because I've done it so many times. And I sometimes had to go somewhere else, but I'd go to work instead because I was on autopilot. And we walk around on autopilot so much, but we will also continue like rats in a maze. There's this book that was spoken about the other day. Sorry, my voice is going because I've been speaking for 3 days. There was a book the other day, Who Moved My Cheese? Which is a very famous book. Yeah. Now, this is actually a fact. There were tests done in a laboratory. If you put a rat in a maze and you've got 4 tunnels and you put cheese in the 4th tunnel, the rat will go foom, 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 eat the cheese. You put a rat in there again, foom, 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 4th tunnel, eat the cheese. Eventually, the great God in the sky in a white lab coat moves the cheese. The rat will go, voom, 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 no cheese. Voom, 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 no cheese. Then it will run out, go back down, run out, go back down, run out and think there's no cheese down there, I need to look somewhere else. Human beings fall in love with the 4th tunnel. They will continue to go down the 4th tunnel because they believe that's where the cheese is. It may be back. Unfortunately, all human beings will prefer to do that and think that they're right, then get better results. And unfortunately, there is a short, sharp shock that you need to do with people, and that is you need to understand that you have to change. With people, the delegates or the people that come along to the seminars, I saw something a week or so ago on TV that we've been doing since 1990, and it seemed as though it was new on TV. But this lady was at the seminar in, I think I told you this the other day, Sean. This lady, we were talking about their minds, the internal dialogue that they had. This lady said that she couldn't move forward in her job because she had self-image issues. And so she came up on the stage, and I sat there with her, and she was telling me about all of these issues that she had. And I said, look, I opened these curtains at the back, and luckily enough there was mirrors on the back wall. The curtains were covering them. And I said to her, look at yourself in that mirror and tell me your belief system, what you think when you see yourself in that mirror.
I remember this.
And she said, well, my hair's a mess. I said, right, okay. So I wrote it down, hair's a mess. She said, and I look terrible in these clothes. I don't know why I wore these this morning. So I said, right, okay, so you're wearing bad clothes. Yeah. What else? She said, I'm fat. I said, right, okay, you're fat. She said, and really, she said, I don't know why anybody listens to me because I don't even believe myself. All right, so you're not worth listening to. Right, okay. Is that it? So she said, yeah, well, that's it. I said, right, okay. So that's what you've got going in mind. Can I just tell you something? So she said, yes. You know, I said, you're fat. So she said, right. I said, your hair's a mess. What did you do? Where did you have your hair done? It's a mess. And look at the clothes you're wearing. Did you get dressed in the dark this morning? You look like you had a fight with a revolving door. What's going on? Your clothes don't fit. They're terrible. So she said, well, I don't like the way you're talking to me. I said, why should I listen to you? You're not worth listening to. She said, what do you mean? I said, hold on a second. Do you like me saying all of that to you? She said, no, I don't. I said, well, why are you saying it to yourself? Mm. Who gave you the right to talk to yourself like that? Did you give yourself the right to talk to yourself like that? I said, did you come here with anybody? And we separate people so they're not sitting together if they know somebody. They're sitting with strangers. And I said, like, that lady over there came over, can you tell me what this lady's like? She said, yes, she's my best friend. So I've known her for 20 years. She said, I couldn't, you know, she's helped me so much. She said, and I just couldn't do what I do in my life without her because she's my rock. I said, isn't that a better thing to have in your head than what you're telling yourself? And it really is based on things like that. It's the internal dialogue, the limiting beliefs that people have about themselves, and the understanding that they didn't have when they first come into the room is they can change it. They have the power to change it. And a lot of them think, well, I'm at the lowest point in my life. I've tried everything, and it's not worked. You know, and really, getting them to understand the metaphor of an arrow. If you feel you're being pulled back in your life, you've got to understand that to fire an arrow, you have to pull it back. Mm-hmm. And then you let go of it, and it fires, and it hits a bullseye. You know, and you to fire something really fast, you know, you've got to understand that you're being pulled back by yourself. And what we're going to do is pull you back a bit more and then fire you into the future that you should have. The future that you're destined to have. The person that you were destined to be. We will pull you back and strip you to nothing because you cannot build from something. You can only build from nothing. If you're dealing with something, you're changing something. Although we're going to change people, the best and most the best way to do it is to strip people back to nothing so that they can be rebuilt. And they rebuild themselves. They start to feel empowered. They start to feel in control. They start to feel as if they can achieve whatever they want to achieve. And they know themselves. The masks and the barriers, the fears, the beliefs, nothing in the world that is real needs to be believed in. Beliefs are not the be all and end all of everything. Beliefs are not reality. It's the reality of yourself, the reality of the situation, the reality of yourself in the real world around you. And you can walk through life now in total control of yourself with authority and at ease. And that's where everybody should be. And that's what we aim to do with people.
I've got to say, Dave, I don't know, Sandra, if you're feeling the same, but I love the way you share your stories, because what I always find with great educators and great speakers like yourself, Dave, is that it's when you start giving examples that the penny drops for me. And a couple of things that had real resonance for me, I've got to say, Dave, were the way you described that woman, and then you took everything that she said. Now, she'd been running that subconscious program and not evaluating it. It was just ticking along, ticking along in her head. And she, because it was her voice, this is the way I take it anyway, she accepted it. And it was only when and we never lie to ourselves, as you rightly said. We never lie. I never lie to myself ever. And of course, when you stood there, this is the way I took it, Dave, rightly or wrongly. When you stood there and you read it back to her, and then invited a friend to comment, it kind of rocked her model of the world, and I think that's amazing. And also the other thing I've got to say, which I love, and I wrote it down. I thought your point that the invisible is always more powerful than the visible. And you were talking about the polishing the fruit. as your story there. What a brilliant thing. Sandra, those two things had resonance with me. What things had resonance with you in terms of what Dave's been talking about?
Well, I thought the story about the woman was very powerful, and the one thing I was waiting for the clincher at the end for you to say something about okay, do you realize that's what you're saying to people about yourself, and that's what you're causing them to believe that you are, because you're emitting that in everything that you do.
Yeah. I mean, it went a lot longer than that because this lady was really affected by it. But
well, it's affecting the story. It's a very emotional story.
It affects her, and she emanated it. And unfortunately, people do. It's like the brain is a transmitter. And we transmit and emit signals that other people pick up. And you can tell whether somebody is not listening to you. You can tell whether somebody is not really there, even though they're sitting opposite you. You can tell when someone walks in the room that they're magnetic, because they're resonating with everything around them. And they are 100% in the moment, and they are 100% in tune with themselves. And that's what, it's like, you go into the room and you pick up our Wi-Fi. You get the Wi-Fi from the room. We transmit all of this stuff to people, and the people suddenly, gradually, over the period of 2 or 3 days, they pick up the Wi-Fi signal. They think, I've got it. I've got a really strong signal of what is going on. And then they take that signal into their own lives, and other people pick that signal up. And so they attract this like for like, and they attract people who understand where they're coming from, and indirectly they help them, because they don't have to come to us to do it. It's when people come to us, we show a group of people how you can change your life, yourself, your beliefs about yourself, and become who you wanted to be. They go into their own life and they start interacting with people, and there's a change. And if it's a positive change, then people want more of it. But we all know people who walk into a room, sit down, and suck the energy out of a room. You think, well, because they don't even know they're doing it. It's the mindset, it's the lifestyle, it's the way they are. They've got into that over a period of time, and nobody's ever called them on their BS.
Can I ask you? I just am curious. This lady obviously was starting to become very frustrated with you for saying these things to her.
Yeah.
How did that part of it end? Was she able to understand that that's because she had created that response?
Well, the thing is, people get annoyed all of the time, and that's what we aim for. I write a lot, and people read what I write online, and they like it, which I'm grateful for. And I meet people, and I do these, and maybe people like me, and they think, oh, yeah, it's funny, I can understand what we're saying. And everybody really is inherently nice. But at those seminars, we're not, because we are confrontational with people, because people are not confronting themselves. And unless people are willing to be confronted with themselves and see themselves for what they are and how they behave, it's not serving them. If it was, they wouldn't be here at the seminar. So we are in their face, and like I said, they must think, wow, this is like the evil twin brother of the guy that I knew online, because you have to be like it, and at the end of it, we're just ourselves, because everybody is fine, everybody is unique, everybody has something in them that the world needs, everybody has something in them that other people need. They keep it hidden, and we have to do whatever we can, to the point where I sent you a transcript of the prison one that we did, where you're like this with people, because you've got to get them to see themselves. Once they see themselves for how they really are, how they appear to other people, unless they do that, they will never advance, because they will always be that idealized, perfect version of themselves, which has not served them up until then.
Well, there's either the idealised perfect version, or there's the version you described earlier, Dave, the autopilot drive to work, and you've driven 20 miles and not realised how you've gotten there because it's it's total autopilot. Just a quick digression, because I was conscious with the comment tracker not working properly earlier, and it has done now. I wanted to pull Cherry. Sorry, I probably said it wrongly. Sherry. Sorry, Sherry. It's my Brit accent there. Enjoying this so much. I love your stories to illustrate a point, which is what we were saying earlier, because that's how we learn, isn't it?
Yeah.
You put the theory out there, Dave, but what you do so brilliantly, certainly for me, is you absolutely make it real with your stories. So thank you for that. And Tanya, thank you, Tanya. I want to honour everybody here for being 100% responsible for soaking up Dave Moore's juicy wisdom. So you've probably been described, Dave, in many different ways. I wonder, Dave, have you ever been described as having had juicy wisdom before? I wonder.
No, I think I would have remembered. It's a first. Yeah, it's. Hey, I'll take it. That's fine by me.
That's fine. That's fine. But that's cool. Dave, you know, I knew this was going to be a challenge in a good way. Having someone like you on, you know, this is fantastic. I've got to tell you that the stream of people watching has stayed constant. So what's obviously happened is you've hypnotised all of us, and we've been listening to your stories, which is, I think, an absolutely tremendous thing. But clearly, we're down to the last 5 minutes of the show, and you've mentioned some really cool stuff. So you mentioned Los Angeles and I believe New York.
Yeah.
So I wonder if you could share a little bit about that, because you've got some really exciting stuff happening. And I'd also like to invite you to just share with people who want to contact with you further how best they can reach you. So Dave, fire away.
Well, we are. Thanks for the opportunity. First of all, Sean and Sandra, it's been a pleasure to be here with you. And also, thank you to everybody that's watched and commented and got in touch. Cherry and you know, Cynthia and all of you. It really means a lot to me that people are out there and taking time out of their schedules to watch and to take part. So thank you for that. I really do appreciate it. We are going to, or coming to, in Sandra's case, to America. We're coming again to Los Angeles in June, and we'll be in New York in July. We've just finished London again, and we've had a great time there. We're coming over to do a 3-day transformation program in Los Angeles in June, which will be markedly different to the one that we did in Seattle, because the people who attend direct the training. We are a very sort of form of immersion training, where it is 8 AM till 10 at night for 3 days. And the only way that you can get this information, and the only way that you can integrate it into yourself, is by this immersion with a group of people you don't know, who are all their own challenges, their uniqueness, and it's not a lovey-dovey thing. It's real life, and it's real people with their own fears, their own beliefs that are impeding them, and it's fun. It doesn't seem it at the beginning, and it's very much a spotlight on everybody. But at the end of it, you know, it's worth the trip. And as far as social media is concerned, what I'll do on the stream, I'll put some links up where people can find me. But if you put into Google HPT-transformation, I think the whole page comes up with us.
It does.
You know, you can find me as moreconsortium.com, More Consortium, or at More Consortium on Twitter. But I will put the links up on there so that people can see where I am, where we are, and how to get in touch with us. Also, again, thank you for my voice is going. It's 3 solid days of speaking, my girlfriend's going to be really pleased that I can't argue about anything or talk about anything. She's going to have total silence from me next day. The thing is that I'm glad to have had the opportunity to do this, and so what I'm going to do is we give away a small 30-page book of aphorisms. They're quotes that have come up in the training. And the book is called A Little Handbook of HPT. Mm-hmm. And it's based upon a saying, which is how not to get caught between a dog and a lamppost. It's or fire hydrant. It's living your life the way you want to live it. And so once I put the links up, if anybody wants to contact me on the stream, or contact me on a private message after you follow me on Twitter or on Facebook or at the website, send me your email address and I'll send you a copy of this as an ebook. And that's a gift to everybody that's come along to watch this show tonight.
Dave, how very generous, and we're really appreciative. And actually, Cynthia, I'm going to pull Cynthia up again because I think Cynthia says it for all of us, Dave. At the risk of, well, you know what? Shut up, Sean, and just read Cynthia's quote. So, Dave, from all of us, thanks for being such a smart dude, Dave Moore. What an amazing interview with an amazing guy, Dave. We've all enjoyed it. I'm going to ask Sandra to just share. We always do this at the end of every show, Dave. I don't know if you know, but we always have a point of reflection. So for you, Sandra, what's your big take-home message from what Dave's been talking about this evening? Or this evening,
oh gosh.
That's a really fair question of mine, isn't it, Sandra? Why would I ask you that?
I think one of the things that I found very interesting, and I'm going to really ponder on a lot, and maybe at some point I'm going to have to really discuss this with some, is that you really don't get rid of some of the fears.
No.
When in the beginning, that I found that an interesting thing, because I thought that you were going to elaborate on ways that, you know, go to somebody, whatever, get rid of them. But what you're saying, some of these fears that are self-proclaimed, not the kind that I think are innate to, you know, don't get on a railroad track when there's a train coming, that kind of thing, but the ones that come from us and what we are doing, that some of those may never go away. We just learn how to deal with them and how to conquer them, I guess. And that was an interesting thing.
Yeah, the whole idea of it is giving people the power and the ability to look at the fear themselves and say, do I need it? Or what is it really? It's like beliefs. If somebody says to you, I don't believe in the law of gravity, you know, I don't mind. You know, go up to a 4-story building and jump off, you know, or take it away, you know, you'll buy into it very quickly. It's personal. It's what suits people. Like I said, there is no one prescription for everybody. But giving people the ability to understand that they can change their prescription themselves, change their beliefs, change their fears themselves. Do they serve you? Keep it. If they don't serve you,
I think is it.
Get rid of it.
Yeah, I think that's really good.
Who am I to tell them what they should do? It's not. They've got to live their life.
Yeah, I decided after you said that I'm going to keep a couple of mine. I kind of like them.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I'm quite happy with them.
From now on, if somebody says something to me about, well, you need to get rid of that fear, I'm going to say, nope, that fear is serving me well.
Hasn't let me down so far.
and it certainly hasn't. I just want to pull in my buddy from Vegas, actually, Mr. Grant, Tony Grant. Very nice comment here. Tony is a really good guy, and what he said here is it's been an enjoyable experience listening to you today, Dave Moore. Great show, you guys. Thanks, but of course it's always the guests that make it. So again, big thanks to Dave. And I'm just going to close it off. I suppose I ought to ask myself, well, Sean, in my schizophrenic way, well, Sean, what's your take-home message? Well, yeah, do you know what, Dave? For me,
Can I just tell you something? Can I just tell you something about when people speak to them? Can I just tell you something? When people talk to themselves...
Please do, Dave, sorry.
Yeah, when people talk to themselves, I had somebody say to me once, yeah, I get these voices in my head, you know, and I'm talking to myself. I said, there's no problem. If you get a voice in your head and you're talking to yourself, that isn't an issue. Answering yourself is not an issue. But if you ever say something to yourself and you go, what? That's an issue. You go for it.
Yeah, I hope you didn't notice I was going, what, Sean? In fact, I asked myself out on a date the other day, but I refused. But you know, that's a totally different story. I'll tell you that another time. But
Please
you know,
don't.
from you know what? In all seriousness, and I'll bring it back to a serious point. For me, I love the metaphor. I know, and Sherry said this as well. But you know, the penny always drops for me. Mixing my metaphors when I can imagine the learning myself through the stories that you share. I loved your one about the bow and arrow as well, and you put enough stretch in it, and you fire people. So what you're saying, Dave, is when people connect at the 3-day events with you, and I would urge people to go along and see Dave where they can. What they'll do is they'll get tough love, perhaps, but it will propel them to the lives that they really deserve to have, and perhaps for the first time shatter some of these programs that they've been running for ages. So to me that sounds fantastic. Dave, I'd also love to thank you for the gift to everybody in the stream. Please connect with Dave. Dave is going to share his different links in the stream. I'll also post some more links to Dave. Dave, you've been an amazing guest. And I kind of get the feeling that if you want to, there may be opportunities to revisit some of these things because it's been fabulous. Thank you to everybody in the stream. What an amazing show. So thank you, Dave. Really, really appreciate it.
My
Thank
pleasure.
you so much. Sandra, you're an amazing co-host and you've been brilliant again today. And just because I feel I can in my schizophrenic way, thank you, Sean. And from that, and goodbye to everybody. Thanks, guys, for contributing and see you all soon. Take care and bye for now.